Hello and welcome to one of the builds I'm gonna be talking specifically about. I figured the builds that I had in our previous video wasn't really optimal to look up for. People were asking for certain things, and then if I have two builds in one video, it's a little bit annoying to find the build that you want. So I'm making separate videos now, and this is going to be an updated specific build to certain dungeons. And this time we're going to be covering up for Balrog. So as a Berserker, you usually won't be accepted to the dungeon, but however you do deal a lot of damage if you focus on getting better weapon for yourself, and of course having the gear, armor, etc. Or even buying the temporary gloves, for example with the heavy fruits. You can get like a really good strength and some belts that you can use, even cape from PvP that gives you really good stats, but those are expiring, so be careful of that. But we'll be covering up the basic with the default gear that you can get from hard dungeons, and of course ending up trying to do endgame raids with 10 man. So going off first, I swapped between critical and to strength. I feel like the critical rate isn't really that high enough for me to deal enough damage, and I feel it's more safe to have a base damage increased. So putting everything on strength works out well. If you're unsure about your health, feel free to go health for Balrog, but you should not be taking too much damage. You're supposed to be surviving the 2 hits that he does when he swings around, and you have the help of life stealing back. So going on with the build over here, we got that spin only on 3 this time. We're not spinning that much to DPS, we're mainly using our Groundbreaker to DPS. Something new is we have Void Slash now. This is a prerequisite skill that we need on level 6, and Darkbreaker on level 5. Darkbreaker is not a skill that we're going to be using versus them, unless you know that you won't be using the Dark Stacks anymore. Then you add the Darkbreaker just as a finisher. But Void Slash is pretty good. It gives you mobility to run around without using any stamina. So if you're out of stamina, Void Slash is there for you to use with your spirit. It's really good in case you need to have that extra third dash to reach your knights from the last phase, or in case you need to dodge out of the falling rocks, or in general just dash somewhere else. However, Cross Slash dashes through enemies. Void Slash does not dash through enemies, so be careful with that, so you're not dashing towards his frontal cleave or anything, because you won't be able to do that with Void Slash. We spent more points, of course, these are just prerequisites, but we spent all the points into Warrior Instinct. It caps at level 9 at level 50. This will help you have the piercing damage, and you will also have resistance to yourself, because physical resistance is really important when it comes to Balrog. Balrog always gonna do his melee attack, and that will most likely hit you majority of the time when you're melee DPS. I was thinking about putting some points into Inhuman Endurance, but I figured you're never gonna be on 30% and then just try to survive another additional hit. So this is not optimal at the moment. I feel like the passive from Warrior Instinct is already a good trade, because you get some offense and you also get some defense from this, and as well as having extra mobility. Instead of using spin to spin around, you sacrifice 6 points or 7 points from the damage of spinning, which is only going to be used for stacking up the Dark Aura buffs, but you get an additional dash, and you also get the passive and offensive stats. So not having Blood Price, for example, you don't want to sacrifice your health for damage. Instead you get a flat piercing damage instead. And as for survival, you have Blood Loss at 10. It's gonna heal you 43%, almost equal as an elixir, which is 50%. This is usually being used after you're being slashed by Balrog, so you dash through him while you're being slashed. your lifesteal, you're probably full to the health again, and then you just keep ground breaking him. And as for weapon passive, we got Great Sword Mastery, and that will be your main DPS or main bonus damage that you get from your passives. So having two passives that gives you flat damage or more increase of damage, and as well as having strength pumped up now instead of crit, relying on crit, you have higher base damage to deal damage on the boss with your Groundbreaker. So this is the build for Balrog that I would recommend. This is a specific video for Balrog. Obviously you can have different builds for Balrog runs, etc. I ran before on deep wounds, but I feel like that's kind of pointless to have or spend any points into it with the Earthquake, because Earthquake does some good damage, but I feel like since the boss will always charge around, we're not going to do much damage. However, when he does his shout, that's a good time to actually place an Earthquake, so if you want to go for that build, go for it. But I would recommend doing this because of the survivability, and the survivability is the most important thing for a Berserker when you do Balrog, and a lot of people don't prefer having a Berserker in Balrog, but if you can find a group, then this is your way of surviving without relying too much on the priest, because on the ad phase you're going to be on your own with the tank, or you're going to be on yourself if you don't have any tank and you want to survive. So having Warrior Instinct is really, really helpful, and obviously getting gear from Balrog is also good, and upgrading them in case you need that. But yeah, thanks you very much for watching. This is a Balrog build, specific to Balrog build. I'll be covering up later on for Pyros, so I'll see you in the next video.